Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FighterHeart Podcast, where we talk to people who have gone through extreme adversity and come out on top. I'm Joe Rizzo.
I'm Ryan Costello.
And today we're sitting with Steve and John.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having us.
So you guys were actually our first FighterHeart athlete interview. So we just want to go deeper, you know.
Yeah.
I think we'll start with Steve, and then maybe we'll bounce off each other, see where we go from there. You grew up out here, Long Island?
Yeah, from Massapequa Park.
Okay, cool. And tell us a little about your story.
So basically, I grew up being the heavy kid my whole life. I was in sports, so we kind of ran with that and gave that as almost a purpose to be my size.
If you get back on the mic a little. Yeah.
You want me to start over?
No, you're good. Yeah, just keep going.
So basically, we just ran with that, used my size as an advantage for as long as we could. Once I got to college and realized college football and sports like that wasn't for me anymore, that's where I kind of realized, like, all right, I got to do something here, because my weight was up to like 315 pounds. I was kind of falling into a bit of a depression, so I knew I needed to do something for myself to make that change, to pull myself out of it, because nobody else was going to sit there and do it for me. So from there, I kind of just started with the weight loss, and then it started to really roll and pick up.
How did you think you got to be that size?
Oh, just really bad habits. There was never really
Like
any
eating wise.
Oh yeah, there was no like good healthy eating habits enforced in my house. It was on me. I would go down to the snack cabinet and take the Pop-Tarts and make a box of mac and cheese whenever I wanted. Nobody was really stopping me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that was probably the biggest part of it, because like I said, I played sports, so I was plenty active. It was just more or less the bad food decisions.
And you said on your interview, too, that it was almost encouraged, you said, some of these bad habits with your...
Because you were playing football, right?
Yeah. I was actually having this conversation with somebody today at work. When we used to finish practice, we had the underclassmen on call making us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We would do pasta parties before every game weekend. So it was a lot of eating and, all right, you're big, but let's get you bigger now.
Mm-hmm. You're Italian?
Yes.
So it revolves around food your whole life.
Exactly. Everything revolves around food, everything.
Yeah. So let's take us through it. So you played football in high school?
I played Pee-wee all the way up until high school, and then into college, where I then ended that.
Yeah. What made you end it?
I was playing Division II at Post, which is now Division I, but just the vibes that I was getting from that, it just kind of wasn't for me. It was a little too intense for a Division II school without a scholarship. And again, that's where I saw my heaviest weight of 314 pounds. So I was like, with the road that I'm on right now, everybody around me wants me to be bigger. They want me to be better, but they want me to be bigger. And for me at that point, being bigger was not better by any means. So that's kind of where I had to take a hold of my own life and make that choice of like, all right, I'm going to pull the plug on this, as much as everybody around me tried to talk me out of it.
You described your breaking point in the interview, which was, if you could explain.
Yeah, once I got back from Post, I was sitting at the end of my bed. I was 314 pounds, and I was actually watching The Biggest Loser, and I kind of had that realization of like, with where I'm heading, this is it. Like, I don't want to be one of these people, 600 pounds, having to get pulled out of a bed to get to the hospital because shit's hitting the fan. And again, I realized that the only way that wasn't going to happen was if I was the one who did something about it.
Would you describe it as like a switch flipped?
I wouldn't say a switch, because it wasn't like, oh, boom, next day, chicken and rice and salads.
Yeah.
But it was definitely that mental switch that I needed to realize, like, all right, I can't just sit here and like wallow in self-pity about it. I have to actually act and do stuff about it every single day in order to start making changes. Small changes at first, but those small little changes, man, they pile up.
And now you're a trainer, so did you have help or support? Did you have a trainer, or did you do all of this?
I did. So my cousin, Anthony Tuminello, he was the one he trained me when I was heavy still too, because we were doing strength training and conditioning for football. So once I realized, like, all right, football is not for me, then I realized we had to change gears. So I reached out to him. We discussed, like, all right, it's time to start losing weight now instead of trying to gain it. And then we had to reevaluate things, reassess. He taught me everything I know about training and nutrition and all that. So thankfully I had him there to help guide me, which then now allows me to guide others.
Do you feel like being an athlete has helped when you went through that process? Did it come some level of second nature? Was there a lot of things you had to learn during that process? Or?
To a degree, yeah, because with football, like, we were in the weight room and we were training. It was more for strength and power, so it is a different approach than of a weight loss type of approach or even bodybuilding style approach. But definitely with all the food and nutrition, I had to learn everything like a blank page.
So what happened that next day? What were those small changes you started making? The first things you started to change?
Started going to an actual gym and not only doing like weight room lifts with a team. It was get into a gym, come up with a split that I could actually maintain and follow. That's the biggest thing. If you just go balls to the walls, a lot of the times it's too much too soon. And then you just get discouraged because you're like, I can't do all this, so there's no point. So for me, it was small healthy choices with the foods, but changing up my workout routines, adding cardiovascular activity into my workout routines.
So you didn't
that.
like cut carbs or something?
No, I didn't jump like right into a meal plan or keto or any of that stuff. No.
So
How
what-
about,
go.
okay. No.
Here you go.
Oh, well, thank you. Like I was going to just get into your eating habits now. Like, do you lean like?
Yeah, so right now I'm post-show, so we're kind of going into the rebound phase, but still 6 meals a day, everything's weighed out, measured, whether it be protein powder, chicken, rice, vegetables, everything.
It's all portioned.
Yep, everything's portioned out, prepped, and ready to go.
So you mentioned post-show. So Steve also does, he's a professional bodybuilder, right?
Not professional yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Semi-professional.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
So what came first? What was it? Did you become a trainer first, or did you go straight into
Yeah.
bodybuilding? Was it all kind of at the same time?
So as I lost my weight in the gym that I was at, I started working the front desk there. Through that, I was able to meet tons and tons of great people. One of them happened to be my Uncle Lou, who then came up to me and said, hey, listen, I saw all the work you put in to lose your weight, right? I know you want to be a trainer. I'm really tight with the owner here. I'll get you a job working as a trainer here and the front desk tomorrow. On one stipulation, you need to help my nephew. Said, absolutely, not a problem. Next day, in walks this guy.
That's a good segue right there. So
We didn't
John,
even have to do the segue.
yeah, that.
We've done this once or twice, me and him.
So maybe explain to us how you know Steve and your story.
So I'm John Arpino. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Farmingdale. I went to Farmingdale High School. I lived in Massapequa. I was at my heaviest 520 pounds. Was literally 1 foot in the grave. Had more death scares than I am comfortable even talking about. But what was the shift for me and how I met Steve was I had extremely bad asthma growing up, right? So very similar background to Steve, Italian. We eat when we're sad, we eat when we're happy, we just eat to eat. Food's always there. Food's not going anywhere, all right? Fridge is stocked, drawers are stocked, whatever you want, we got it. My asthma, because of my asthma, I was put on a steroid called prednisone, right? And I had said this in the video that we did. The thing with prednisone, it either makes you gain a absurd amount of weight or it stunts your growth. 6'5", didn't stunt any growth.
How old were you at this time?
When I met Steve,
When you were on this.
oh, it was literally from the age of 3 to like 17.
Oh wow.
Nonstop. Just constant on steroids, ruining just like my whole biochemistry, just totally tearing me to shreds. So on one particular occasion, I was sitting in my house. I was about to watch a Met game with my dad, and I was sick. I had a cold, and I'm Italian. We said that. My stepmom comes in the room, as she's done so many other times in my life, and goes, "Why don't you put a little Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest?" All right, Ma, I'll do that. No problem. Slather, 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 lather, lather, lather. Sitting there, 2 minutes goes by. All of a sudden, I stop breathing. Right? I start to have a crazy asthma attack. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror in my room, and there's just sweat pouring down my face. Eyes are bugging out of my head. And my dad, like, passes my room, looks in my room. He goes, "You all right?" I go, I could just make out the words, "Call an ambulance." So he calls an ambulance. EMTs show up. Yada, yada, yada. They put me on a gurney. They're wheeling my fat ass out of the house. And an EMT looks at me and goes, "I'm so sorry." So at this point, I'm like, you are screwed. That is it. Call them now because they're putting you in the ground tomorrow. Lo and behold, I wake up an hour and a half later in the emergency room, hooked up to a BiPAP machine, and I lived. Fast forward a week, I'm talking to my Uncle Lou. And at this time, I'm like, all right, this is, I guess, my wake-up call, right? This has happened before, but this is the wake-up call. So I'm talking to my Uncle Lou, and he goes, "Listen, I go to this gym. There's this kid over there. I think you guys went to high school together. He's a great trainer. I want to hook you guys up." Okay, no problem. So never been inside a gym a day in my life. Never had a trainer a day in my life. Never worked out a day in my life. So I show up to this gym. I see Steve. Oh, I know you. You're the other Italian kid in school. We used to wave to each other always. Merry Christmas, Happy Easter. How's everybody? How's your family? How's your father? Great. Then we start working out together. And we've been inseparable for 5 years.
Wow, dude. How old? So you were how old? You weren't.
How old was I? 21, 22? 22?
Yeah, I was like 20. So
Yeah, I was 22.
Wow.
22.
So
he's gonna
we were
be,
babies there.
Yeah, he's going to be my best man at my wedding a month from tomorrow.
Oh, congrats,
Thanks,
man. So how did it work? He came in. What are you thinking? How did you know how to attack this and where to take it?
I had no idea. All I knew is that we needed to get him eating less. Obviously, he was 500 pounds. Popped out of the elevator. He avoided the stairs coming up into the gym.
We had an elevator.
Yeah, we had an elevator that John took advantage of.
Yeah, at the gym.
But really, it was just about, like I said, getting him moving. And that was the thing. Most machines at 6'5", 500 pounds, you don't fit into.
No.
Yeah.
So that kind of limited our options. And honestly, it was great for me because early in my career, it forced me to learn how to be creative with exercise selection and all that stuff. So for John, it was a lot of movement, step-ups, stuff like that, ropes, medicine ball slams, TRX rows with body weight, push-ups, just literally having him stand against the wall, take a half-inch step back, and push himself off a wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
so
was
small.
the base of it, really, for, I'd say, the first 6 months?
No, almost. I want to say the first year.
Every
First year
day.
or so.
Yeah, he was doing 5 days a week.
I was doing 5 days a week.
Wow.
Hating my life.
So you flipped a switch in your case.
So I flipped a switch in the sense of I knew that my body needed to be doing something else than what it was doing. My mind had not caught up with my body yet, and vice versa. So like I was there primarily because I had to be there. So if I can rewind for a second, before me and Steve had linked up, they had put me in a pulmonary rehab facility, right? And this was just like a place where old people would go when, they have a heart attack, stroke, car accident, yada, yada, yada. And I was there for maybe 2 months. And there was this guy who thought he was like the next big Jack LaLanne, and like some like 55-year-old guy who thought he was going to change my life and get me in magazines and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, I don't know if I can curse on here, so I won't. But anyway, I was just like, you're whatever, like, forget it. And I remember saying to myself, like, you're not making progress here. You're not going to make progress here. You're not going to lose weight. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. You need to get out of here. And that's when I had the conversation with my uncle. And then that's when I had met him. And then at that point, it was just like, I had been sold so many bad goods that I didn't know what to believe. Like, I knew what he was capable of. I knew what he did for himself. Like, visually, I knew, right? Like, how could you not know? We went to high school together. I know who he is. But for me, it was just like, you are person 9,000,007 who have told me, don't worry, trust me, I'm going to change your life. So within that first few months, everything was taken at a grain of salt. Obviously, I was going through with it. I was showing up. Before that, I was sleeping in the parking lot of the pulmonary rehab facility and telling people I was going to the gym. You know what I mean? Like, I'd go to McDonald's, eat a McDonald's breakfast, go to sleep, and then drive to work an hour and a half later and be like, oh, yeah, I had a great workout. You know what I mean? And then with Steve, it was like, one, I would not be able to get away with that. He knew way too many people in my family.
You call him out.
Instantly.
He would instantly call me out. And like, so it was a trust building process, right? And it was just like, I knew it had to be done. It was more convincing myself over time that we were making the right decision. Like Steve had said, it was so difficult, and like, hats off to him, because brand new trainer, like, has no, like, whatever the case may be, but like, trying to fit a very round peg inside of a very small square hole time and time again gets very frustrating. Trying to take someone who can barely walk 5 feet without hitting his inhaler and not being able to breathe, and knowing that that person needs to exert some effort in order to make this work, very, very hard, and I was not a happy-go-lucky 520-pound boy. You know what I mean? Like, I was a jerk off.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would be a dick to him.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean? I loved him. I loved what he was doing for me, but he was public enemy number 1 the first year to year and a half. Because there was a whole while there where like I'm working out, I'm doing my thing, you know, the scale is saying, you know, you're doing so well, the number's going down. But for me, I'm a visual learner. So like seeing is believing to me. So when you go from 520 pounds and let's just say you shed 75 to 100 pounds of a 520 pound man, he's not going to be able to see that. The person who it is. Everyone else will be like, oh, your face is thinner. Oh, you look like you're leaning out. Me, I see myself every day. Me, I look in the mirror. It's the same person.
So when did that, like how long was it before you even felt that
175
confidence?
pounds
Wow.
was when I finally first realized, hey, you're doing something. And literally I can almost pinpoint to you the day and time of like when I turned around to Steve in the gym and was like, hey, I think I'm losing weight. And he'd be like, hey, you're already down 175 pounds.
Yeah, I've been telling you that.
That's something we went over, though. I let him know, like, right from the jump. Listen, like, you're going to lose weight. You're not going to notice it. Everybody else around you is going to notice it.
Yep.
But in your head, you're going to be convinced, nah, that scale's bullshit. I didn't really lose 100 pounds. I don't see it. I don't see it. Everyone else is fucking lying to me. Steve told him to say this, whatever. But that's just how it is. That's what body dysmorphia is. That stuff is really, really real. And it plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like having the guidance of somebody who's been there, like myself with John, it helps because you could point that out of, hey, listen, I've been there. I've gone through that. This is how it is going to be. It's going to be X, Y, Z. You're going to face stuff like this. You're going to face stuff like that. Maybe not some of that. But just a heads up, this is where it's going.
Because you went through it. You knew what to expect.
We had to get over that hump first to really see what's
and
on
you
the
had
other
to
side.
trust him.
I had to trust what he did, how he did it, the person that he became, and who he was on the other side. Those 4 things. If I didn't trust all 4 of those things, I would not be sitting here with you right now having this conversation.
Wow.
And that was literally me turning around to Steve one day and being like, my life is in your hands now. Whatever you say is God. And we're going to move forward from this point on. That's how we're going to operate.
Wow.
You know, if Steve said jump, I said how high. If he said it was super high, I'd say, okay, we have to take it like to here. And then eventually we'll get to there. You know what I mean?
Do you push each other now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what I actually told him that right before I started my prep. Seeing John go through his prep for his summer shredding show, it hands down motivated me. Like, motivated the ever-loving shit out of me to just push, and just not complain.
Absolutely.
What
So
was
you're
that
in
feeling?
shape.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You go.
I went first before now. You
Okay,
yeah, now you could take it.
So what is that feeling to be on? Because you've both experienced being on a stage. What's going through your head? Is anything going through your head when you're on there?
So for me, the first show, I was a nervous wreck leading up to it, and all I was thinking about was as soon as I'm off this stage, I am never doing this again. This was miserable. It's not worth it. I don't want to do this ever again. You could ask him. I was a miserable human being. Yeah. And that was only a 10-week prep. My last 2 I've done have been 26 weeks.
Wow.
Once you get on that stage and realize that what I'm presenting is a result of my efforts alone, it is one of the most empowering things any human being, weight loss related or non, can experience.
Absolutely.
To know that you put that work in and now you're exposing yourself on stage with a spotlight on you in front of a crowd and judges, literally to be gawked at and judged from where we came from, that's one of the most empowering things I've ever felt.
Absolutely. I'll 100% agree with that. For me, you know, my experience with doing a bodybuilding show, I've only done one so far, but my experience was a little bit different. I did it with a broken back, which I don't advise anyone doing at all.
Me neither.
How do you do that?
Yeah, no, yeah, you do it. You bite your bottom
In
lip
a
and you
wheelchair.
fucking do it.
Basically.
So for me, it was just like, okay, you need to survive the next X amount of weeks. And then it became, you need to survive the next X amount of days. Then it was, you need to survive the next X amount of hours. And then, so like I thrive in a public setting, right? Even at my heaviest, I was very good with spotlight being on me. I was always good talking in front of people because like when you're the fat kid, right? Like you have 2 options. You're either the loner in the corner who doesn't speak to anybody or you're the funny fat kid that everyone gets along with. And I chose my role a long time ago and I was not going to veer from that role. So I specifically remember being in the worst pain of my absolute entire life backstage at this bodybuilding show, looking him in the eye and being like, I don't know why the fuck I'm here. And then him carbing me up, pumping me up. And then they call out my name and I walk out on that stage And at that moment in time, pain didn't exist, time didn't exist, nothing existed but me, the spotlight, and the people I was looking at. And then that's when I was my most comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, for the next 10 minutes or however long they keep me out here, I can do whatever you need me to do. As soon as you take me off this stage, I am going to go die in that corner because I am broken and I need surgery tomorrow.
Adrenaline.
Did you get surgery?
I got surgery, 3 weeks after I got home?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I had to get a wheelchair for him
Yeah.
and push him through the airport to go to Texas.
Yeah.
He was in a wheelchair. We were stretching him out. He was
No one
literally-
knew.
He was bedridden
Yeah.
the entire time that we were down in Texas for
Right.
the show. He would get up for me to give him a meal, and then he would have to get stretched out, do all that.
I'm thinking broken back. Are we thinking the same thing here? Like I'm thinking your spine is broken.
My lumbar spine, broken.
How do you walk? How do you walk?
You don't.
You walk very, very slow and
Very
poorly.
slowly and
with a lot
gingerly.
of help.
Did the people in the competition know this? They had no
Not
idea.
a
Do they
clue.
know it now? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, now they do.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't mention it to anyone because, one, I didn't think they would let me compete. And two, even though it was very heavily advised against me competing, it was just the point, like, I had set out to nail a goal and I had gotten so close that I gave myself no other option than to show up.
Is
you
that
know?
one of your highest achievements today, would you say?
Oh, yeah. Between that and finally getting into pro wrestling and having a match and yada, 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 definitely up there. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, I got you. So we got like the 5-minute warning now. What are you guys working on now? So you're training right now. You have a show coming up.
No shows coming up yet.
Oh, you
no,
don't. So you're training though, right?
Yeah, I'm always training. We're always training, baby.
Is there ever a junk day? You go like.
Oh yeah, that's
like after a competition. What's that next day like?
Oh, this last show, what do we do?
savage?
We were in Queens. We drove back to the island. We went to, me and my fiance, to Thomas's Ham and Eggery in Carl Place. Pancakes, French toast, big egg scramble, extra toast. Yeah, we go hard after.
on YouTube that people do now?
Mukbang?
Yeah, you guys should
you-
start a mukbang after your show.
What is that?
What is that?
Apparently, you just eat food on YouTube.
You literally just eat and
But
people
people
watch
love it.
Why did we lose weight? We missed our
So, like, I was having this conversation.
you know?
I need to point out something because, like, I was talking to my fiance about this the other day. You know, when I was heavy, it was very frowned upon.
Yeah,
to be heavy.
it wasn't cool.
Now, people are getting paid
It's getting big.
real money to eat on YouTube and to rate restaurants and to be a fatty like I was. Do you know how rich I could be right now if this
Health
was me
over
6
wealth.
years-
Health over wealth.
Nah, I don't know, man.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
I gotta be honest with you.
Well, you mentioned you had asthma. You don't have it anymore
So I don't have it anywhere near as bad as I once did.
because you haven't used that inhaler this whole time.
You know, growing up, I'll keep this short, but growing up, I was literally in the hospital 2 weeks at a time for my whole entire school career, right? Like, I could time out literally when I was going to be in a hospital. And since I've lost the weight, I haven't had a hospital stay in 6 years, except for, you know, back surgery, knee surgery, just extra skin removal surgery. But asthma, we're great in that department.
He could breathe though.
Yeah, I can breathe. Everything else is breaking down. but-
Breathe. That's always
Well,
good.
what did you didn't mention how much you've lost? So you were 5.
So I was 5'20". My stage weight, what was my stage weight?
216.
Yeah, my stage weight was 216.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like just over 300 pounds.
Yeah, and I'm in the 250s right now.
And you're like 6'5".
I am 6'5".
Hey, you ever think about playing football yourself?
So like I did Pee Wee football for a whole season, and
You
then
had to ram people.
I was a really good center and left guard that first season, right? And then that season ended. My mom had gotten me late to practice one day, and they expected me to run 20 laps, and then that's when I came home and told my dad I was never playing football again.
They got you on the running.
Yeah.
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 What are you gonna do?
You know, so I stuck to watching professional wrestling and eating.
Beautiful.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
Where can people find you guys on social media?
My Instagram is Arnone65, and my TikTok is ArnoneCCCXIV, I think.
It'll be under
We'll
somewhere.
put it up
You
there.
Yeah.
You can find me across all forms of social media at JARP's Journey. That's JARPS_journey. And you can also find me at the Accountable Life Group on also all forms of social media.
So I guess any last words, any words of advice to the world?
Maybe
Any
someone
future
who's
goals?
overweight.
Yeah,
where
man.
they're
I mean, the
fighting.
best piece of advice that I can give to somebody is find a support system. Find someone who you are not afraid to ask the hard questions to. Believe in yourself always, and don't give up once you fail. You need to fail over and over again before you taste success. Once you give up, that's it. It's over. Pack it in.
Yeah, very similar to what he said. Like, never ever get complacent. Once you achieve a goal, you got to go out after that next one. Otherwise, like he said, that's where things start slowing down. You got to keep achieving one thing after the next, even if they're small, simple things. But again, also touching on what John said, you need a good support system. Don't surround yourself with yes men.
Yeah.
There was plenty of times where I could have just sat there and yes this guy to death. Like, yep, yeah, you'll do that. Sure. Yeah, we could run a mile next week. Absolutely. That wasn't getting us anywhere.
Yeah.
You
I
got
will
to
have
be
you
around,
know I still can't run a mile. All right.
you got to be around honest people who have your best interest at heart, because those are going to be the ones that really try to guide you to better you. You know what I mean?
Hard to find those.
Very hard to find, but when you do, it's worth it.
4 quarters, over 100 pennies every day of the week.
Oh.
I like that. So I guess ended up with goals. What's next for you guys?
I think both of our next on the plate is we're both getting married.
Yeah.
He's in October, I'm in May.
Wow,
We're
that's
not
awesome.
really allowed to talk about doing bodybuilding competitions until after that.
We're not.
So,
Hey.
It's actually,
fiancés, you're welcome.
yeah, we're actually banned from even mentioning the words body and building in the same sentence.
No shows, nothing.
So you're
Yeah.
doing speeches
Yeah.
Yes.
for each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different type of stage,
Start
guys.
writing that.
Yeah, you know.
I'm way more nervous for this one. Oh yeah.
The other one.
Oh yeah.
This is out of your comfort zone. That's
Yes,
good.
it is.
There you go.
No, it'll be good.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, guys.
Thanks
We
for having us,
appreciate
guys.
you having us. It was awesome.
Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
man.
Have a good one, everyone. Good night.